What about mum? What about understanding mum going to school? And when she left to Portuguese?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, to Turakina.
And the fact that her sisters went to St. Joseph's and she went to Turakina?
Yeah, cool.
What's behind that?
Okay, let's roll into that then. So this is chapter 2. Tarati Edwards. Hey.
Yeah.
Right. So where did Nan grow up? Where did she spend most of her childhood?
Oh, well, she was born up at Omarumutu on the what was then known as her father's Edwards estate.
Oh yeah.
And the house is still there today.
Hey.
And that was that's now the share. Oh no, the manager's house at one of the lands trust to Waiti, because it got sold. The block, which was her father's land, and then went into general land, and then it got purchased by the trust board and 2 other lands trusts to get it back basically.
Oh yeah.
Put it back into Māori land ownership, and but the house is still there. So she was born there, and then when her father died, and I think she was what?
5.
5 was it?
I can always remember her saying she remembers the trip back
Yeah.
to Tenere, just on the horse and the cart.
Yeah.
I heard that story.
Oh,
Yeah,
did you tell us that? What was that story? The horse and cart from Omarumutu?
So from being born in a house on a farm estate,
A flash house too at that time.
flash house, to being packed up.
Oh, after he passed away.
Yeah, so she was the last child of her father's, but her father had 2 adult families prior to that. So her brothers and sisters were a generation older than her. So in her words, they were sacked off the farm and sent back to the pa.
Oh.
These are her words, and the only thing she ever got out of that Edwards estate was they paid for her schooling. Those are her words.
Oh, wow.
So she's here.
So sorry, who did she end up at the pa with? Who did she go back there with?
With her mum,
That's it.
Nanny May, who was from Tarati.
Oh, wow.
So there was a disconnection between mum and the Edwards family from then on.
Until there was. Yep.
Well, she certainly harboured some,
Strong feelings.
strong feelings about it. And
She had a relationship with Eva.
oh yeah, no, I don't think. She had a relationship. And the Ratchet's mother. Yeah, no, so not that she didn't.
More with the women than the men.
Yeah. I think anyway.
And so
Anyway.
the decision to sell the house, it wasn't Nan's mum then?
Didn't sell the house, they kept it. She was a threat to their inheritance.
So there was a younger wife, a very much younger wife. Her father, I think, was 65 when she was born.
Yeah.
70, closer to 70. So
When she was born.
And an interesting story would be, how come he ended up with 5 farms? Paku.
Yes, Ken, I've been thinking of that, and I think my take on it is that he put and leased multi-ownership land.
Yeah.
made use of. He was a hard worker, Mum said. Worked hard, put land into good use. But,
I talked to Robert on Friday about taking me for a tour around and going back to the house. So,
Oh,
Wow. And so when her and Nanny May rocked up to Tarere, it was just them two? No other children, any other siblings with them? With her?
Yeah, I don't know. So Mum was,
where was Sally? Well, she wasn't with them.
no,
Um,
I don't know who was looking after all of them.
Auntie
and where
Tony,
was, yeah,
They must have been at the car.
yeah,
yeah.
good question. They must have been whāngai out, would
Yeah.
they?
Well, that's something we'll, because we're keen to kōrero to them too, eh? So it'd be good to get their, like,
To who?
Uncle Jim's.
They did.
Who?
Oh, no, so, you say Auntie Sally?
No, that's
keep named
Mum's
after
sister we're
Auntie
talking
Sally.
about.
Oh,
Auntie Sally's the namesake. Gee whiz.
So well,
Oh,
maybe.
Sally was farmed out, whāngai out to,
Well, she went to her grandmother's. She went to her grandmother's for a while. That's the bishop. We've got her photo on our wall here. And then I don't know what age or era. Then she went over to the Hawke's Bay. I don't know when that was, but must
she
have been.
had land because she at the end of Waiweka.
Yes, that
She
was with her.
there.
That was her grandmother.
Ah,
And that's the photo on our wall. It's the stately lady in the blue
oh
dress.
yeah. Oh,
Oh gosh, I just yeah. Anyway,
anyway.
so yeah.
I can always remember Mum telling stories, talking about going back to school, of the Tarati gang walking to school. And
Yes.
so you had, who did they have? Thompson Clay?
We've got that photo
Uncle
That's
Red,
right. Yeah, that's the, yeah,
of Anzac Day. That was the era of children.
yeah, that line of...
Hedia, Uncle
Red.
Red, Thompson. We've got that photo, and Mum's there in her lovely white socks and black shoes. But that was Anzac Day,
Ah,
and that was the era. Yeah,
Mum always told me that because she was the favourite of Rota, my namesake, she was given money.
yeah.
that's right.
So she always had the sixpence,
She was spoilt.
and Reg knew that.
Yeah,
Apparently, Reg always knew that Mum had the money.
and she would buy the lunch, and then all the other kids would. I win.
so they
And
would
they-
walk to Kura every day from Tarere into town.
Yeah, or the buggy, and on the way, and this is in her story, that I brought down the other week, Jared, and I left it at Chad's. I should have given it to you. On the way from Tarere to town, that every family had their Pākehā. That's what you used to call them, and their Pākehā would have. They'd pick up clothes, or secondhand clothes or whatever. That was their sort of like their adopted Pākehā, whānau, and so they'd come home with whatever, the clothes or whatever. But she when she described it to me, it was almost idyllic.
Yeah.
But when I look back, they in deprivation terms, they were poor, but she never described it like that. And
No, it was
and then-
always, and the same with, I think of that boarding school. Boarding schools in that era must have been, and run by churches, must have been tough. But Mum really loved her schooling.
I never heard her talk. I never heard her talk in disparaging terms about
No.
her experience at boarding school.
Well,
Even
boarding schools weren't there to provide them with higher education. It was
No.
practical skills like cooking
Yeah,
and
Menial,
milking the cows and
yeah.
getting the milk and
farm worker
nursery
job.
and, providing
That's
the
right.
skilled labourers or
That's right.
workers
workforce. And Ranginui wrote his on his. I gave you that paper, eh? Educate. Anyway, that's right. But that photo that we've got, which I'll give you, Jared, is
That'd
that's
be a
on.
good one for the book.
Yeah, on the Anzac Day, that Mum, she had a vivid memory. So they'd make the rosettes or the floral wreaths for Anzac Day, and they'd walk to town. And her memories of that photo was they all had a wreath, but as they were walking to town, I don't know which one, Uncle Thompson or Uncle Reg threw theirs into the bush.
Couldn't be bothered carrying
Couldn't
it.
be bothered carrying it and threw it into the bush. And then somebody ratted on them, and that was it. They got the wrath of the nannies when they got home.
How long was she in the woods or out the path, or did she go from the path straight down to boarding school?
Oh yeah. I don't know how old. Well,
Through all her primary school.
Primary school at the PA
At the park.
at the PA. And one of the things, lots of stories, but one of her jobs was to stack the kumara in the kumara pit. Like they would have all done that, you know. But that's a story I remember, because she was the smallest. She could get into the kumara pit and stack it. But the other kids, from the sounds of things at the PA, were highly jealous of her because she was spoiled. She was spoiled by Rota Hate. And there's a photo. We've got a photo of her with a doll, and it's Christmas Day. No other kid is given a doll at the PA. But she's, yeah, but she's got this doll. So you imagine how the other kids must have felt.
So would she have been the youngest at the PA at the time, or
no?
She was favoured by Rota Hate, who had no kids.
Yeah.
There was an old man with no kids, and sort of Mum's job to look after him, make sure he had enough kai, and I don't know whether he lived in their kouta or another one.
But
that's who you're named after, Uncle Rota.
Yeah.
But she said, all the nannies, they had their muckles, and they would have competitions, each nanny with their muckles. So it was highly competitive. So that Mum talks about how they were learned to swim. They learned to swim, and the nannies would just take them down to the river and make them swim against the tide. And that was their competitive training, and they would have competitions. The nannies would be egging on their muckles to beat the other muckles.
Which is why Nan always said Ken was a fast All Black because of her.
How come?
Never any reference to Papa, who, when we go over there, we see these photos of Papa on an athletic track striding out. Oh no! All the genes came from Tarati.
She's from Tarati.
She was, and don't forget, she was a good athlete and sportswoman, and the Tarati, and as did all the places, all the maraes, they had their tennis team. They had their tennis club. So she was good at tennis and netball. Yeah, no, she was.
I think Ken, didn't her and Cy McLaughlin win the Bay of Plenty Māori doubles?
I think they might have.
That's something that's always stuck in my mind.
Yes, they did, because she got Cy McLaughlin to try and coach me doubles.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Did she?
Yeah, and he did. Well, he tried to.
And Cy McLaughlin lived on the house on the corner of Goring and King.
Yeah, right there.
Jared.
Right there.
Oh, wow.
And Cy, and I went to the Barry Harvey and I.
Yeah. Oh, you came up to Auckland.
Small town useless. Cy McLaughlin trained us for doubles, and because we thought we were pretty good. I think we might have won the Bay of Plenty schools. Oh, might have been juniors or whatever. So we thought we'd go to Auckland.
You played at Windmill Courts.
Yeah, just one game. Just one.
We went. Yeah, well, we were going. That's right.
Going back to the PA, another memory that Mum talks about, hey, I just need to get you this folder, Jared, with all her stories. But she talks about every whānau at the pa had a, or might have been hapu, I have to check that, had their day with the abattoir. And on that day, for the abattoir, their job was to wade across the river with their kits, with their kete, and they would get all the offal.
Ooh.
And that was a pretty exciting day. Again, you know, when you look back at it, that's how poor they were. They were reliant on, but you know, Mum never spoke about it like that. It was quite exciting. They'd wade across the river, and that was, I think their terere was a Tuesday or something. Yeah, terere, because their nickname was terere tero teros. The other hapu would call them terere tero teros, something like that. It'll be in her story. But, you know, that was their job, and they'd go across on that day and they'd collect the offal. It's all the insides of, you know, of the animals, and that would be, you know.
And the pig's bladder would be blown up for the kids to play with, a ball.
That was their, that was part of their fun.
Also, she said that there was a warm spring just at the back of the park.
Well,
they used to wash in Uncle Ken.
Yeah. Well, Dad always wanted to investigate that.
Yeah.
So that's
But yeah,
good. That's a couple of good.
Her one frustration that she carried through to, she always talked about this, she always did, was there was only one swimmer better than her at the pa, and that was Hiria. She always beat her in the river. That's a kahika.
Yeah, and it was the Otara River they'd swim at.
Straight down the swimming hole, just down the, Yeah.
Now, Tarati was at the site that it was at now, at that time?
Oh yeah, but it looked different. It had kautas and you know, little huts where they lived.
Oh wow! Like actual huts, Mum, or like
well, we call them kautas, small
little sheds, Polly.
little sheds where they'd live and eat and sleep, and then they had the meeting house. So I guess that was their communal. They actually ate in there too, eh?
You seen the photo of them
there's photos, Jared.
Photo here of them having their kai on the lawn because they had no whare kai.
Oh, I'm not sure, but yeah, it'd be good to get that because that's
photos, yeah. But they also used to eat in the wharenui, so it's interesting, eh? It's sort of like it's just being practical, I guess. But
yeah, so we're talking like wooden floors in their little, what do you call
dirt floors, mate.
Dirt floors.
I don't know how many times we heard that. It's a dirt floor.
How many times was that?
Oh, sack carpet.
Wow.
You're lucky. And Mum swears that her bloomers made out of flour bags. They were the champion flour that she had, that she was branded across her bum. Champion.
Hey, branding before Nike.
Yeah. That was the early days of sponsorship.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Wow.
I think your nan had a lot of self-belief. A lot of self-belief.
That's what I'm saying. So when she recounts that, and you know, I look back and think, gosh, that's real. At the time, you know, it almost sounded idyllic. But you know, when you look back,
but it would have been
deprivation at its greatest. Right?
Leading up or into the Depression. Now, Mum was 5 and 26. We're talking about Depression years.
Yeah.
Actually, what you're saying, Ken, is interesting because Arihia talked about our Pākehā that would give them clothes. I think during the Depression, the reverse happened. The Māoris kept the Pākehās supplied.
Well, I was going to say the impact of the Depression. If you don't have a job that earns money, and you've got a bit of land and your resources are food, which you can gather and get.
Yeah, you're rich.
Well, exactly. You've always got food on the table.
Actually, when you think about it, not dissimilar to the COVID, the effect on the Pōtiki, it'd be interesting to look back at the effect on the Depression on the Pōtiki because it was majority Māori, who had the ability to live, subsistence living,
Yeah.
which they still do now. And the effect of COVID lockdown on job losses hasn't been, so as far as we know at the moment, as the impact has been nowhere near like around the country.
But we didn't have the land though, eh? So so literally, going across and collecting the offal, but they're I don't know what they had that patch at the par, I guess, but they also had their gardens were actually at down by where the new bridge is, Jared, the bridge across the river to go to the beach.
Their garden was all the way down there.
Yeah, so they would camp there, and I remember Mum saying this story. So they would camp there in the season, whatever they'd be growing, and then they would come across, wade through the river. These are her words, with their clothes above their head, and then put them on the other side, and then go to school from there. So they would, depending on the season. So that was obviously a harvesting place, but they also had the river, and that would feed them as well. But I don't know whether they had any. They must have had cows and stock, but not obviously not. Yeah, not a lot.
No, they would have had a cow for milk.
They would have had a cow. They would have had cows.
And I, from what I gather, that also each hapu had areas back in the bush that was their special spots for whatever kai they gathered.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that was.
They were known, and they still are known.
So what else would she do when she was in a Portuguese? She's helping with the kai and gathering that and going to. Any other stories you've heard of her time?
Well, her mother organised. Auntie Tangi and Auntie Violet went to boarding school as well. But how did her mother do that? Māori Affairs loans? Māori Affairs.
I think I just read somewhere recently, Ken. Back in the day, there were Māori kids were sent off to boarding school under government grants.
Yeah. Precisely for that, to train them up to be brown Pākehā.
Yeah.
Or to be subservient.
To be maids.
To be maids and that.
Yeah.
To
sew and to cook and to have manners.
Domesticated.
I do know that's what. Again, Jared, this is all in Mum's stories. We probably just need to give you the book. Yeah, those are her words about the Edgeworth estate. They paid for her education.
Which is probably why she went. I always couldn't figure out why the other two were travelling to St. Joseph's, and Mum then went to Turukina.
Oh, she did tell a story. Why? I can't remember. That might be in her.
Yeah.
It might be in her.
And so, even though they were they Māori names but not Māori run?
Oh no, they were very Māori schools.
Oh right.
Yeah, but run by the churches.
Oh right. And so yeah, they had.
You were taught English, not Māori.
Yeah, actually,
Right.
St. Joseph's.
Māori.
St. Joseph's would have been Catholic, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But you think about it back then. I mean, once they went to school at the beginning of the year, that's it. It's not like they came back in the holidays.
Yeah, that's.
They were
yeah,
gone
right.
They were gone for the year. They can't just hop in the car and come home. Well, they would have been.
Look at transport in those years, and you'll know what they would have, how long it would have taken them.
Wow. Yeah. How old was she when she left then?
Oh, Turukina is down Fielding Way.
Yeah, I went there before it shut.
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to go look at some photos. They say
Yeah,
the
well,
photos
that's
are
it.
still.
Because
still
we
there.
don't have any school photos of her.
No.
Well, yeah.
There might be archived by now.
Well, that's what I was
Have you
trying to do. Yeah. So she, I don't know. I don't know when she left.
Could be archived, not archived.
Archived.
Yeah, they could be archived by now.
Archived.
You didn't pick that up, didn't you?
I thought you said iPad.
I don't know what age she was when she left.
Form 2.
Matriculation, I think she
I
got.
looked it up. I looked up what matriculation was when we
Yeah.
were talking.
What is it?
It's a qualification that you go on to. And she was so proud. She actually got matriculated so she
Yeah.
could go to high school.
You could go to high school. If you didn't get matriculation, that was the end of your, you had to stay there.
Oh, wow.
That was the end of your education.
She always used the word matriculation.
Yeah.
So kids didn't go past Form 2.
Yeah. You got your matric and you could actually go to secondary school.
Oh,
I suppose
wow. And if you
I
didn't,
suppose that was
you'd go
another
to
way
work.
of filtering out the Māori. Right? Anyway.
Yeah. So if you didn't get that, you'd go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
You
Get a
stay at
job.
school.
yeah.
At primary school until you're 14 or 15.
Oh, wow.
Probably.
And then I remember her telling, she ever tell you, it'll be in her story, written story, her first job for an accountant in town who was Māori, Hayes. You know, the Hayes from up the coast. Was it a lawyer?
Was it Potts and Hodgson?
No, Hayes. So she worked in that, you know, the old farmers building, the old where Hickey's was.
Yeah.
His office was there. So can you imagine mum in an office?
I remember on that, I remember mum telling me in that her first job, I don't know what, oh, hang on, Emma wants me.
Yeah, all good.
That the, whoever was there said, look, you're better off, you can do better than this for yourself.
That's it.
Oh,
She
yeah,
was
yeah,
bored.
that's
She was
what
bored as heck, and she was.
Water and,
She obviously wasn't stimulated by the work.
So is this so this is when she got back from Turakina?
Yeah. Once she left school.
Yeah. So you don't know how she got down there? Any stories about, you know, when she got there and her first arrived?
And she always talked
train.
about train.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing that talking about the train, they would go every year when they were at the pa, every year to Waitangi. Imagine that. That's a huge trip
Wow.
for
I'm just
Waitangi.
trying to- sorry, I'm just trying
Waitangi
to-
celebrations. They would go every year. That would have been a massive trip. Like, yeah.
I'm just trying to unmute Uncle Ken now. I muted him and then I can't get him back on.
He's probably muted.
Does he know how to
He's
mute?
probably on the phone.
There we are.
Okay, sorry about that.
But
Really
also,
like-
Jared, she went with her mum, with Danny May, over to Gisborne Way to what's in the middle of in the porch?
Matawai.
Matawai. And there's another Karaka? Te Karaka,
They go shearing.
to go shearing.
Well, Auntie Tony went shearing.
So she always talked about her experience as a shearer. And if we let her talk any longer, she would have been very close to getting to the golden shears.
Yeah.
And there was our connection with Mahaki too. That iwi.
That's why we, yeah.
That's part of the connection. Yeah. You know, she was they go shearing, and Auntie Tangi was I don't know what she was, whether she was the cook or I think she was the cook. But
On
oh yeah.
So while she was down at Turakina, was Nanny Tangi and one of the other sisters at St. Joe's at the same time?
No, there's
They're
10 years
older.
difference.
They're older.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. 10 years.
I think
Hey, her brothers were 40 when she was born, some of them,
that's from a different
from the Edward side.
yeah, that's from a different father. But, they're all different fathers, yeah.
So Nan was the last of Nanny May's children
Both of us, yeah.
Oh, okay.
and the last of her father's children.
Yeah, wow. So the last of the lot.
Yeah. So a generation out on both sides.
Yeah.
Not so much on Nanny May's side, Because Auntie Violet was it 10 years
I think
different?
it's 10 years between Mum and Auntie Violet.
10 years between Mum and Auntie Violet.
But Auntie Millie was only, how much younger than Mum?
10, was she?
I think she might have been 10.
Yeah, so Auntie Millie was closer, was like Mum's sister. But was
Yeah. Yeah. It
so
always
she was born at the park. So Mum would have been a young girl
Oh, wow.
when Auntie Millie was born.
There's a photo at the park, Jared, with all the nannies and the mum, and Nanny May is holding Miriama. There's lots of photos.
Yeah. That's
And
right.
mum would be barely 10. Yeah.
So, what would be on Auntie Millie's birth certificate as birthplace?
Terere, probably.
Today, I don't know.
Wow. That'd be
So Uncle Jim
crazy.
and Auntie Millie were born at Terere. Oh, there might have been anyone else? Auntie Millie, anyway, Auntie Millie and Uncle Jim were born at Terere.
Yeah, I think they were the only two of the tyres, were they?
No, I think
It was next year.
Born.
Kuya was, I think.
Wow. Oh, no, we're keen to chat to Uncle Jim. So, any
I
other?
talked to him last week, Jared. He was.
Yeah,
He said he wanted to connect with him. He'd be happy to talk.
He would be.
yeah. So, any other
Sure.
stories about Turakina and what she got up to there that you guys heard of?
No, I didn't get a lot from there other than when she had to go and hold her friend's hand to tell the principal that her friend was pregnant.
It was an all-girls school.
I don't, whether she's got any in her written story, yeah, I don't know, you? But, yeah.
There was only, I thought all I can think of is she loved it and there were animals, a farm.
Oh, okay.
That's right,
looked
Ken?
after-
Was there a farm?
Yeah. And they used to have to.
Having to get up and milk.
You
That's
get to get up and milk, and I remember you telling stories about them getting into the cream or the milk at night, maybe the cream, as you do in the boarding school sort of thing, cream and jam.
And no stories about her sports at that stage, or
Oh,
They must have played netball there, Turakina, but I don't know whether we've got any photos or she said much other than.
now her one of her very good close friends, not from here, but Maori. I took Tyler to meet her. Actually, Tyler must have been. Well, I wanted her to see Tyler. Sonia, her name is. She's passed away now, but that day I went to take Tyler to meet her. There was some photos. Mum wasn't in the photo, but on her wall were Sonia's photos of netball. So this must have been when Mum came back from Turakina. But anyway, Sonia made the point of saying, your nanny was really fast on the court. She was really, and she could jump. Those are Sonia's words.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. So,
Yeah, no, we got some photos here on the wall of her at basketball and that. Yeah.
so
But,
she stayed her full term down at Turakina and came back at what age? Do you know?
I don't know.
You don't know what full term is. When did they finish school? 15, 16?
Yeah, right.
You there?
For your oven.
Oh, hold on, my oven's beeping or something's beeping.
You took
At 15, it would have been 1936. Say 15, 16.
yeah.
She would have finished school in 36 or 37.
Oh, yeah, 1936.
Yeah.
Wow. So what's happening in the world at that time, Uncle Ken? Just remind us.
Well, she would have had a couple of years working in a portaki, and then she joined the army at the war.
Ah.
But I'm not sure what year she joined. Are you, Rota?
No, Kim.
So straight back to a Pōziki, back to the marae, do you know? Or back to Te Rere, or?
Yep.
Right.
And I'm just trying to think, at some stage, she and Auntie Tangi bought the house at King Street.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, she had already left to go to Auckland.
Yep.
Um,
So bought it when she was in
She-
Auckland.
yeah. So
army.
she was earning. I've got the sale things in the file somewhere. Yes, I think she'd left. She
Mm.
was in Auckland, and her mum and Auntie Sally bought the house.
Oh, yeah. So we're just
That's
going
right, there was 3 of them.
from Turakina mum back to a Portuguese for a couple of years. Is
I'm
that
not-
when she got her first job, or is this when she came back from Auckland when she got her first job?
Oh no! She came back from Turakina to home here and started work, and that's when, as Ken said, the boss made the observation that he didn't think this type of work was for her. and I don't know whether then I don't know whether she went straight into, was it war then? Did she go straight up to?
Just trying to work out the chronology. If she stayed at school till 15, that would have been around about 1936 or early 37.
She
Wouldn't
would
it?
have
She
had
was born
quite
in
a bit of
21.
quite a bit of time at home then.
She would have had some time at home,
It was open.
and then she wouldn't have gone into the army straight away.
No.
Do we know how she went about getting in the army? Any story there around how
I
she
think
got
it's
in?
pretty easy. You just go to the local office and sign up.
Yeah, was it just herself, do you know, or did she have some other groups that all decided to go together?
She had her niece with her. Her niece, who comes from the first family of Papu. They signed up together. Are you talking about signing up to the army?
Yeah.
That's the story that she gave me. So they signed up.
No, who was that?
Pardon?
Who was that?
So that Malcolm Cairns and Bonnie, her name was. So her father was the firstborn of Paku. Oh God, what's his name? From the Kawero lot.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he married the Savage,
Yeah.
and his firstborn, forget his name, and this was his what was it, his firstborn, but yeah, his child Bonnie. So this was Mum's brother's child, same age as Mum, and she's just died. The last of his children just passed away. So yeah, they're in town here, and anyway, so her name was Bonnie, and they signed up together on the same day, and
Sure.
that's the story about when the person signing them up told them they'd be going into the kitchen.
Oh, yeah, right there and then. And how did they get up to Auckland train again, or?
Oh, I don't know. I suppose. I don't know how they got up.
Would have to be. Probably.
Must have been. Yeah.
So what's the stories coming out of the army then? How long was she in there for? Like, tell us about the her wanting to be the gunner and stuff.
She manned the lot. So the first thing was, well, you know the story about the person signing them up said, well, just sort of matter of factly that they'll go into the kitchen, and she said, I'm not going into the kitchen. And so that's and she didn't go into the kitchen, but her niece ended up in the kitchen, and that's where she ended up manning the lights for the guns. I thought she manned the guns, but she manned the lights for the guns up on, what's the name of it, Ken? Where?
Bastion Point.
Bastion Point, round the bays there.
Yeah.
No, it was on the shore.
Both sides.
Oh, both sides.
The camp was on the shore.
Oh, right.
On North Head.
Hmm.
They were based at North Head.
Based at North
Yeah.
Head. And I don't know, she must have had a pretty, sound like a quite enjoyable time. But when I look back now on the photos in her army uniform, and there's lots of photos, lots of socialising.
Oh, yeah, we'll have to get some of those.
She was in
They
the
always
seen
said
a
it
photo
was-
of her in the New Zealand Artillery Regiment basketball team, it was called.
Yeah.
So there would have been a lot of, at its peak, army sport would have been full in New Zealand for women particularly.
And
Yeah.
she rowed.
And she was in the rowing team
And yeah, that's her story, how they tipped over in the
in the middle of the Auckland Harbour.
Auckland Harbour, and she was the only one who could swim.
So
And
just
that
tell
was
her.
not rowing- That was not rowing. That was rowing those Navy boats, wasn't it? Those.
I
It was
thought it-
rowing. You forget
I
about
thought it was
rowing,
a-
but the
I thought it was a rowing boat, Ken.
a genuine one.
Yeah, like an 8.
Oh,
Yeah, I think so. I think it was.
I always assumed it was an 8.
Yeah.
oh.
And
So what's the story, Mum? They went out for a training session.
yeah, and no one could swim. They
They
tipped over, and
Anyone could see them.
there was our mother, obviously slightly coloured and probably rose-tinted glasses, but she saved everybody.
So what did she do? Did she swim to
That's
shore?
all. Well, no one could swim, so I guess you had to get around and get them to the boat or whatever. I don't know. But it was a bit of a laugh.
Oh, cool. Well, we'll
Seems
get
like
that
they had a
story
lot
in
of
a minute.
laughs, didn't they?
A lot of laughter, yeah. Look, and that's the story about when they weren't allowed to go into pubs, Māori. And but that's her story was that, but that's that's where they would meet up. Mum, I don't think Mum drank at all. But anyway, so that's when she said she posed as a Syrian to get into the pub.
Well, that's right.
And Syrian was the only partially coloured non-Māori race that she knew that would get through, and that was who the Chalferns were.
Yeah.
Syrian.
Oh, were they Syrians?
Mm. Yeah.
So where was this? The pubs as in Auckland City?
Auckland,
The
when they did, come together on their days off and, connect and meet. But again, it was, when you think back, well, that's, you couldn't get any more blatant racism, but she didn't talk about it in those terms. She just, it's just, well, they did what they needed to do.
Māori weren't allowed in pubs, Jared.
Yeah. Wow.
Hey,
What else?
And somewhere, Ken, where did it fit in that Mum worked at the Civic Theatre?
Oh, I didn't hear that story.
That's
Remember
right.
that, Ken?
I remember that.
She worked at the Civic.
Yeah.
Was that when she was at Oakley Hospital?
Could have been.
Oh, is this after transitioning out of the army? That
Yeah,
one.
that's right. Was that her first job after?
I don't know.
I don't know whether, or did she go back, or was that? No, I think she went to, after the army, the retraining, that's when she ended up in Te Awamutu.
When was she at Oakley?
I don't know. I think it was after that.
That might have been. No, might be
No,
the
that can't be right.
That can't be right. No, it might have been. You
Get
know
that
how
down there.
if you join the army, when you got demobilized, they got free trade training or free skills training.
Yep.
And she chose to be a hairdresser. And it might have been out at Oakley that she was a trainee hairdresser.
Ah, and then she moved to Te Awamutu.
And then, yeah, and that's where she did a little bit of picture
Look
theatre
at
stuff.
But she actually did some nursing at Oakley. Or they,
Was she a nurse or a hairdresser? I always thought she was a nurse.
She was a nurse, sorry. She did nurse at Oakley.
yeah. And she'd say that, you know, they'd call her in when the
Mm,
Orangi Māori patients.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And then she
Oh.
might have opted to take on the hairdressing. Because that's what
Yeah, I
she
think
was
she might have
doing.
been a nurse first. Yeah.
That was she was doing down at
Tokanui.
And she must have had and she do you remember Rota, her taking us back to Oakley Hospital? So Oakley is where Unitec is now, Jared.
Carrington, eh?
Yeah, Carrington. So she must have had a really soft spot. I remember her taking us back there as
She went to
teenagers.
social work there.
Eh?
She went back and did social work.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, when we were at City Minor.
Oh,
She would go in and visit, well, not social work, not officially, but she was a support worker, volunteer support
Ed
worker there. And that's how she knew that wonderful,
singer.
and that wonderful concert we went to.
Yeah, we went to a concert. She took us to a concert, Jared, of the patients doing a concert.
Very talented.
Oh, we'll get to that. I want to so just summarize the good stories from the army, because I think that'll be that could be a few chapters on
Oh, yeah,
its
well,
own.
sort of.
No, that's a chapter on its own. How Nanny saved how Nanny won World War II.
yeah.
Well, yeah. So there's the you know, going into the kitchen and then no, I'm not. So tell us
and
how
then
she.
challenging her superiors, because then the sign came up that they're not allowed to speak Māori in the kitchen.
Yeah. So just give us the backstory to that, Mum. So she rocks
Oh,
up.
you know, when she'd go into the mess for Kai, they would just converse, and then they were told they weren't allowed to. So she'd be talking to all the whānau who were in the kitchen hands, and they were told they couldn't speak Māori.
Yeah. So what did she do then?
Well, I don't know how you do this in the army at that era, but she apparently challenged that, went to her superior, and the sign came down. But as she said, that's why she never got a promotion.
Her book during the war is like blooming Spike Milligan's book on the war. Yeah. Spike Milligan, Harry Seacombe won the war.
Yeah.
Yeah, she won the war, but she never got promoted.
So there was an actual sign in the mess to say
That's what she
you couldn't
said.
speak Māori.
And it's interesting, Jared, talking about these things right now.
Yeah,
Aye.
Right now, and there was Nan
battling it back then.
battling back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. That'll definitely go on the.
And those are two very, very distinct in Mum's memory.
Oh, very.
Very distinct in Mum's memory of doing that. Oh, there's three things. One, you're going into the kitchen. Two, you're not allowed in this pub. And three, you can't speak Māori in the kitchen.
Wow.
You know, and there would be 1,000 other little ones that would have just passed by. But
Yeah.
But she did phrase it to me like they're not allowed in the pub. She phrased it to me that I pretended I was the Syrian to get in.
that's what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was always ways around it.
Yeah. That's it. That's the resilience, I guess, of living in a time of such discrimination.
Yeah.
You just needed to do. Hey, have you got an 8 o'clock session, Jared?
No, I cancelled it because we've got the.
Anyway,
So with any stories about her being on the lights on the gunner at all?
Oh, yeah, they had an emergency and they had the guns all trained on a hay bale floating in the harbour. They identified searchlights, guns aimed, people out of bed.
And it was a hay bale.
Yep.
It was for anti-aircraft and anti-submarine. They were expecting the Japanese to come either by air or by sub.
how does that hay bale get in the air or in the water?
And there were instances apparently of submarines in New Zealand waters, Japanese.
Wow. So they were specific, this was a real threat.
Oh, that's what they were there for.
They wouldn't get past the finely tuned and finely trained marksmen of the women's artillery. They wouldn't get past them.
Hey, and Jared, you went out to Motutapu Island school camp?
Yeah.
You go to the gun emplacements?
Yeah.
Those gun emplacements belong to the regiment that Nan belonged to.
Wow. I didn't realise there was actual threats, like potential threats.
Yeah, well,
It wasn't pretend.
No. There was a Japanese submarine went into Sydney Harbour. They think it might have been the same one that came.
The same hay bale that came here.
Hey, no, there is a report of the German submarine in the captain's log, and I think it might have been off Napier or somewhere, and it's something about there's nobody there, there's no lights on, there's nothing happening.
Yeah. No, there was a German one.
Turned around and went away. What's that?
A German one.
Yeah, they sunk a cargo ship off the coast of might have been off the coast of Napier, off the east coast anyway.
Wow.
There was a New Zealand cargo ship sunk relatively close to New Zealand waters.
Yeah.
Oh, those are a handful of good stories then about the army, like you said, the kitchen one, the speaking Maori, the gunners, the
Actually, the irony is, Nan won a different war.
Yeah.
She won a different war, which is that's a really good angle to that story. There was a war going on, but Nan was fighting her own.
Yeah.
She laugh about them in the middle of the night.
Her identity.
It was a very good. She had a very good friend, Jared, in the army days that she reconnected when we went to live in Kaitaia. She remembered her friend being from up there, and she tracked her down.
Oh,
And
she hadn't kept in contact with her.
oh, she might have written. Yeah, she might have written, but Velma Carr,
Velma.
and she was a very tall lady.
Yeah.
Very tall. Even in modern times, a tall lady.
Yeah.
So her and mum were chalk and cheese.
Wow. So they were in the army together.
Yeah, good mates.
Velma. Well, that'll be a character in the book then. Velma and Bonnie.
What's your memories of Val?
Velma Carr.
Yeah.
A lovely soft,
Yeah.
wallaby skin.
Yeah.
Both her and her husband could have been Māori.
I know.
Oh, they could have been.
He was.
Was he?
Yes, I'm absolutely sure.
Yep.
I remember I took Mum up.
Quite a regal lady.
Yeah. Very soft spoken, wasn't she?
They had a Vauxhall Velox.
Yeah, I know.
With one of those
Oh, he was really dark.
empty orange drink. You know, remember they used to have the empty orange drink?
Yeah.
Orange drink used to come in like an orange shaped
Oh,
container.
yeah.
On the aerial.
Put it on the aerial.
On the aerial.
Yeah,
What are they put on the aerial for?
Decoration.
I've got a photo of her. Got a photo of her and Mum in their army uniform, Jared.
Yeah, well, I'll have to track them down because.
Have you found a cartoonist illustrator yet?
Yeah, I've been speaking to one online, but I really want a Kiwi one and preferably a Māori one because I think they can just do the characters.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't turned my head to that. I'll have to think about that. There might be somebody around here.
Yeah, I'm going to chase the guy up locally from Hamilton, but the one I've been speaking to on email, he's overseas. So, I think a Kiwi one will be better.
Somebody told me, I was talking to somebody, I forget here, and they mentioned Mana, but Mana's I haven't seen he's an artist, but you want somebody who can caricature, eh? Sort of.
Yeah. Want the kids stuff.
Yeah. Like the kids and that, yeah.
That war story, actually, the more you think about it, would have wider appeal.
Yeah,
Here's an image.
The family, and it would have wider appeal if it's titled right.
My boys used to break into hysterics about the scene of them, all the women, hurtling out of the barracks in the middle of the night with their pajamas on.
Hair in curlers. Boots, trying to put boots on, unlaced boots, trying to go down the steps to man the guns.
Oh, yeah. Wow, the siren went off.
Yeah. The alarms, yeah.
For the hay bale.
For the hay bale.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious. Then they turn their lights onto the, and what do they see? A hay bale. Might have been a Japanese one though.
So those were all those concrete bunkers along Tamaki Drive, Jared.
Yeah. I just didn't click that. You know, it was a real threat. But I think that gives us a good, good 2 books, like one with Papa, one with Nan. So how long was she in the army for?
We should look up her war. You got her either her pay book or her record,
Yeah,
so you could tell you exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
And now when she went down to, now this is the end of the war, 47. Now we're getting to Dad's arrival, and she's a hairdresser at Tokanui, and Dad has arrived in New Zealand, and that's where they met.
Yeah.
And you'd have to add the rice pudding to it as well.
Yeah. She got caught, she got caught with rice pudding.
So I think the next corridor would be that, meeting at Tukunui.
Oh.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
going
from there
going
meeting on.
there. Yeah. So
All right.
I'm just
Where's your babies?
He's still asleep.
Oh,
Let's have a look at that. Oh, they're asleep. Oh, no, you're not. Look at him, look at him, look at him, look at him. Oh, sorry, my darling. Moi, moi. Moi, moi. Oh, that one's...
That's good.
Oh, and who's busy swatting up for tomorrow? Is she at Humble Harps?
Yep.
Oh, well, wish her luck.
Yeah. Hang on, sorry, just stay there. What is